Good afternoon, everyone. This is Tracee Dunblazier with the Cover Chatcast. We are the Coalition of Visionary Resources, which are the trade organization for the mind, body, spirit industry. And we are so glad to be here today with one of our members, Dr. William Guillory. He is a notable author of an amazing series called the Pleiadian series, and its sequel, which we're really going to be talking about today, The Aftermath. Magnificent set of novels that really touch base with exactly what is going on right now with the pandemic and all of the earth changes and the social unrest. So I can't wait to really dig into some of these topics and how Dr. Guillory got the information that he did early. He is also the CEO of Innovations International, and he does this amazing program on resiliency. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So welcome, Dr. Guillory. I'm so glad you could be here for a few minutes with me today.
Oh, thank you very much. First thing, let's call me Bill. It'll make it easier for me to respond.
Perfect. Okay, Bill. Hi, Bill.
It's good to be here.
Yes, good. So first of all, tell me a little bit about Innovations International and the kind of work your company does, and then talk about your resiliency program.
Okay. My past life was as a professor of chemistry at the University of Utah. My degree is in chemical physics, and some things happened to me, and people who were listening know stuff like that. And I decided to resign from the university at the peak of my career. And I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do stuff in personal and organizational transformation. Shortly after that, things started happening to me. That is, I woke up one night and started writing. That was in 1985. Okay. And everything else has been kind of a saga. I pick up a pencil, I guess you call it channeling.
Right.
And all my books in the series, which are recent in the last 5 to 6 years, have come from that process.
Okay. Amazing.
Starting with the original book, the Pleiadians or Palladians, depend on what you want to call it. And the most recent one is called The Aftermath. And what it really signals is at the completion of a pandemic, and I wrote this about 3 years ago, what are people up to? A number of people have been eliminated. And really preserved on the basis of their wisdom, complemented by the life force. That's the magic formula.
Can I take just a quick minute and read a little bit of your back of book copy, because it's really going to be really powerful for people to hear exactly the first 5 lines.
Go ahead.
The aftermath is the beginning of a new era for the remaining inhabitants of planet Earth who survived 2 global pandemics. The total population has been selectively reduced to 4.6 billion. As a result of the trauma and after effects of the 2 great tragedies, a transformation in human consciousness has occurred from a dominantly survival mentality to one of human compatibility. And then finally, at the end, the question posed by this incredible dilemma is, will future descendants of Earth choose to retain authentic human characteristics such as empathy, compassion, humility, and love, or AI programmed versions of each? And that question, or AI programmed versions of each, that is something that especially in the spiritual communities, a lot of people are talking about that right now, because we don't want, as exciting as it might be to have artificial intelligence have empathy, it can never really have empathy in the way that's what distinguishes human beings from AI.
Well,
and so for you to have written this 3 years ago about the pandemics is powerful. So tell me more about that.
Well, the first question I ask people, well, the pandemics were, as I said, everything just comes to me. I pick up my pen at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trained to do that. And if I can write the first 3 words, everything follows naturally. I don't even give it a second thought. But in preparation, I ask people, how many body parts in a human can be replaced before you lose humanity? And the second question I ask, where does humanness originate? If it's not in the body consciousness and it's beyond, then where is beyond?
Right.
And how does it happen?
Right.
And most people, I said, tell me something about your perception of the life force. So for people in the Western world, I use the word grace.
Okay.
Kundalini and the other parts of the world and so forth, like you do. And
Right.
so I ask them, do you believe in that? And they say yes. I said, do you believe if it were eliminated or cut off, would it affect your well-being? They say absolutely. I mean, I asked about 100 people the same question over and over
Right.
again. And you know, that's the basis for those who survive, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, this book deals with, okay, we've done a selective, you might say, elimination. Where do
Mm-hmm.
we go from here? How do we organize? We assume we have a concentration of people with greater wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no guarantee that they'll make it either, because they're
Right.
still a human body.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
the question this book picks up is start to explore, suppose we have a distribution. We have very wise people, and we have people which are simply a carryover through quantum mechanical tunneling. Some got through,
Right.
you know? And the book picks up with what kinds of dilemmas, what kinds of living principles are we going to have? Are there
Right.
some things that human beings naturally do as they evolve because they've undergone a transformation from a
Right.
survival mentality to one of compatibility. And
Right.
one of the central factors of compatibility is people
Mm.
care for each other. So let me pause a minute and let you ask a question.
No, I love that, because I think that, I mean, that's what we're all having to ask ourselves right now in this pandemic. And it, you
Yeah,
know, America has been going through it for 4 or 5 months. Other places on the planet have actually been through this a few times.
yeah,
And I've always believed that America is the forerunner of the battles of the human heart. You know,
yes,
how to overcome our relationship to our survival and
yeah,
open up to that other relationship with all of the other levels of energy where we really draw our life force from, you
yeah,
know, and how we and the battle for that is in the heart, how you overcome the ego and your belief systems, or you open to connection with other people and
yeah.
oneness. So
Well, you know, first of all, in the book, I make a distinction between a human and a human being. I call a human a person who's still primarily driven by a survival instinct. And that
in,
is everything is a competition. Everything is I never have enough. And I have to
yeah,
accumulate more and more, whatever it is I value. And I call a
yes,
human being a person who's had the transformation from that state of being to one who has gone to what I call compatibility. And they're
mm-hmm,
not driven by survival anymore.
right,
And the whole structure of how they see the world changes. Now, a lot of those people are walking around this planet already, as you probably know, and
yes,
they're strange relative to the larger population. And
yes,
their adaptation is very, very difficult because they don't see, I mean, they're in this flood of what they see on television and everything else, which is try to stay away from. So
right,
that once that transition is made, the question is, how do I live in a way that I don't have to come in direct contact with all this stuff? And they don't use terms like negative and
right,
positive. They just
right,
say it's not compatible with what is natural about me. They
right,
don't they don't have to judge and evaluate. They don't do that
right.
on this side over here,
I
you know.
like it. I like that.
And so we've written a book right now. Well, we come up with a new program called Creating a Framework of Resiliency, and it
Right.
really is. It's a psychological framework. There's the physical and there's the spiritual. So we sit in the middle and pull on the spiritual. We
And this
weave
is what you're talking about is in the real world, like right now,
right,
today.
right now today. Is like
Yeah.
how do I get along today?
Yes.
Because you know most people started out with fear because of all the false information, guessing, and unknown.
Right.
And it's moved to another level of confusion. So there's
Right.
confusion piled on top of fear. And the third step would be despondency. And like, I sort of give up. I mean, there's no.
Yes. Absolutely.
And so we wrote this book in terms of the kind of armor you need to move through where we are right now to wherever we're going. We're just still in progress. And
So I know that you had like 6 different principles that you really worked with. Give me 3 of those.
Yeah. One of them is emotional calmness. And that, I say, as you go through life, there are bumps and bruises. I mean, stuff's gonna happen. So how do you respond or react to a bump? And does it take its toll on your inner or outer body?
Right.
And the whole idea of emotional calmness, and how long does it take to gain the amount of control so that you say, okay, I understand it. I see what it's all about. Now I'm ready to take constructive action. Another one of the powerful ones is called self-confidence. And it depends on how you can shift your perspective. For example, where I'm concerned, long time ago, I shifted my perspective, being Black, from it's an unfair world. Well, it's a world of different rules for me. And that's a hell of a lot different from unfair.
Okay, say that again. Say that again to me.
So my perspective was, yeah. So shifting perspective means you see the same set of circumstances with a different mentality.
Yes.
So the overwhelming mentality that still happens on Earth is it's unfair. We shouldn't have to be treated like this, and and all that. And I came to the conclusion that no, it is what it is. And so before I call it unfair, it is what I'm faced with. And that's where, stay in your lane comes from. Stop comparing yourself with Tracee's lane. Tracee has her own issues that you're not aware of.
Right.
And so the question is, what skills do I need, quote unquote, to be successful anyway?
Yes.
Without labeling fair, unfair, or having that expectation at all. So I started to traverse my life in that way. And I had a lot of surprises happen along the way. And one of the major ones was this whole phenomenon of channeling. And it's like somebody tapped me on the shoulder and said, I think you're ready. I said, ready for what? And so I said, like 2 o'clock every morning, just wake up, have a pen ready, but you have to say the first 3 words, and then we'll take over from that. And you can imagine how many people I couldn't tell what was going on.
Yes, absolutely.
So at this point, Bill is estranged, which is really, a long way from where I was before.
Yes.
So much fun. Like right now, an adaptation I have is I have a renewed love affair with my house. I mean, I hadn't realized how much when I come home, it wraps its arms around me. It says, would you like some bourbon, Bill? I said, I sure would, Well, just sit down. Put your legs up. I'll get you some bourbon. Everything is set. We have ice cubes, but you're going to have to go get it.
Yes.
We have some bourbon. Don't worry about that. So it was a love affair at my house. It's not a constraint. It's not a place I'm in prison. It's a place I'd rather be than insanity going on outside, Tracee.
Yeah, it's not your money pit. It is your nurturing, loving bourbon provider.
Yes, that's a start. And then the woman I'm in relationship with, and I said the other day, I said, what I'd like to do is renew our relationship. She said, is it another woman? I said, don't be ridiculous. I'm trying to redefine everything within the framework and the context that exists. And I need to more visibly pay attention to you. And I need to, because I know you like to be told things.
Right.
And so that was about 90% of the whole thing. And then I started to, I don't have to have excuses anymore for people I don't want to spend time with. I don't waste money on lunches I don't want to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, all that's really clarified. And And so it's my adaptation while that's going on. In truth, if it ever gets back to where we don't have to wear mask anymore, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think I'm going to do all those silly things I did before. And
Yes.
that's my learning lesson.
Yeah, no, that's amazing because when you just choose one area of your life, then you have this whole trickle down of those same values
Yeah,
that you embrace. Because when you just change one little word or one little place or one little frame of reference, it trickles down to every other area of your life, and you recognize that you
yeah,
really don't have a personal life and a professional life. You have a
yeah.
relationship to life.
In fact, if you key in on your passion in life, you
Yes.
know that it's an integrated part of your day-to-day and moment-to-moment living.
Yes.
One of the skills is perseverance, and in the program we have, and the perseverance skill, a module, is designed so you identify your four most important values in life.
Mm-hmm.
And mine is like creativity, empowerment, uh, people, and freedom. And I
Yes.
just list those. Then you say, you don't stop there. You say, well, what does creativity mean to you? It
Yes.
means to me, it means to be freedom. It reminds me about Bob Dylan's song, Mr.
Yeah.
Tambourine Man. You know,
Uh-huh.
one hand waving free, it's
Right.
silhouetted by the sea, or circled by the circle sand.
Mhm.
And all of that's encased in it. And when you write the explanation for the four major values, then encased in that is your passion for life. And
Yes.
once you identify that, you start to say, well, what would I be doing if I were living consistent with my passion?
Right.
And what naturally emerges from this exercise is what meaning means to you. Uh,
Yes. I want to say regarding that, a lot of people, and especially in the mind, body, spirit industry, there's a lot of brick and mortars who are really struggling right now with, our ability to sell. A lot of had to give up their brick and mortar and move online or make some other really profound and dramatic life-changing choices. And sometimes that means they're either starting a new business or giving up a business. And I think this is a really powerful way to frame that no
yeah,
matter who you are out in the world, if
yeah,
your business is going away, something else is going to emerge in its place, and this strategy is going to help you to recognize if you, like Bill just said, your top four, what did you call them? I
core,
just
core values.
four core values. That's going to begin to illustrate for you where you need to be and where you can be of service not only to yourself and to others and to make money. Like
Yes,
all of these things can be true.
yeah, and starting with your core values, then, which is saying this is my passion in life, which
Yeah.
is not an activity but a description, which can take many forms. The
Right.
second thing I asked myself when we went through that process is what is wanted and needed. Warner Earhart, by the way, what is wanted and needed, and produce it. And
Right.
what I came to the conclusion is that people are struggling with adaptation in two ways. One is how do I adapt, and how do I prevent
Yes.
things from happening to me. And that led to the design of this program, which we call resiliency. And
Yes.
I have 6 skills that go with resiliency, and that provides kind of a map. And then the
Mhm.
only question that came to me next was, what is the delivery mode? And so stop mixing technology and delivery with the essence of what it is you do.
Mhm.
What it is people still want, and they want information. They may want it in a different format. May want it in a different delivery system, but
Right.
giving up to find something else you don't want to do is not the answer, and it won't
Right.
catch you. So,
Right.
so go back to the furnace, I call it, or the source, and list your 3 values, most important values, and then write out what they mean. And by the
Yes.
time you have that package, you see sitting in your hand is what is meaningful to you.
Yes.
Then you ask yourself, what are the manifold ways I can communicate this, or I can deliver it, or I can be some functional role in getting it from source to the buying public.
Right.
And then you get into all of it, but you separate those, and you never have to move away from what you really love doing. And
Yes.
so that's what we did with the course. And all I have to do is show it to people. And we never have time to finish delivering it. And now we
Right.
do it in two ways. One is a single user program, and the
Uh-huh.
other is facilitated online. And,
Okay.
as I say, I sit right in the middle there called psychological resiliency. And everybody who sells knows what that is. But I pull into the whole thing spiritual concepts.
Right.
Uh, and it just integrates and weaves in. And I think as long as we continue to develop that, that's the new information that people need desperately, because all they're getting on the internet is reused stuff of people saying the same thing in different ways. And this
Yes.
this is a great opportunity to expand to
Yes.
the mainstream
Mm-hmm.
spiritual terms, what we call it. Go ahead.
And how do if somebody is interested in this single user course, or maybe the corporate version of the online, how do people contact you, or do you have a website?
Yeah, I have two websites. First of all, remember the for-profit company is called Innovations International. That is innovnt.com. Then I have a not-for-profit which is called the wayoftheheart.org, and both of those programs are mentioned on that, as well as my series of books,
Mm-hmm.
which can be bought with PayPal, and that's on thewayoftheheart.org. And the first statement about thewayoftheheart.org is a people-led revolution that will transform the world, is what it's about, and I wrote that 5 years ago.
Okay. I've
And
just
that's
added it here to the crawler. I've just added that you're thewayoftheheart.org to the crawler here, so that people will have that and they
that's
can find.
Yeah, wayoftheheart.org
Mhm.
is where all the good stuff, a lot of free stuff. I have about 12 or 15 white papers that I think you'll find interesting. But read that first statement. This organization's website is about a people-led movement to transform the planet from survival to compatibility. And
Wonderful.
I wrote that about 5 years ago, and that's what's happening today.
That's exactly what's happening today. Well, thank you so much. I wish we had more time, because you are so fun and interesting to talk to. So it's really been a pleasure. And thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate you and all this amazing work that you're doing.
I appreciate it, Tracee. Take care of
Absolutely.
yourself now, and I'll be in touch.
Absolutely. And to all of our cover members, thank you so much for listening all the way through to the end, because I know you did. And have a magnificent day.
Thanks so much.